the ability of the body to heal itself and reclaim itself back to perfect form, typically requires no action of yours. It requires you stop doing something. It's not like you got to go buy some technology, you got to go buy some certain supplement, go buy some certain... No, you just need to stop doing what you're still doing that is leading to the problem.
Welcome to Ending Chronic Disease, where we challenge everything you thought you knew about health. Join international best-selling author and wellness pioneer, Dr. Fabrizio Mancini, as he reveals how to transform your body, your mind, and your life starting today.
Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Fab Mancini, and I'm super excited today. As you know, for me to do these master classes is so exhilarating because I believe that having conversations that are meaningful, being able to bring a different way of thinking, being able to have the opportunity to expand your mind to maybe things that you are typically not exposed to. And that is really what conversation is all about. And today I have a dear friend and somebody that I admire greatly, Dr. Bryan Ardis, with us today. So before I bring him in, I want to just share a little bit about him. Dr. Ardis is a doctor of chiropractic, entrepreneur, outspoken health advocate, best known for challenging mainstream on the medical narratives and also exposing what he calls the hidden truths of modern healthcare. Through Dr. Ardis' show, which if you haven't listened, you have to tune in. It's one of the most insightful shows that I've listened to in the podcast. And his global speaking, he has built a following by raising controversial questions about pharmaceutical protocols, uncovering overlooked root causes like parasites and toxins, and promoting natural solutions. Driven by his personal loss and a passion for medical freedom, he has become a provocative voice in the health freedom movement, sparkling debate and encouraging audiences just like you to take ownership of your health. Dr. Ardis, how are you today?
Doing great, Dr. Mancini. It's great to be with you, buddy.
Well, you know, recently we saw each other and I was so excited. And honestly, you have inspired me so much. And I've been watching so many of your interviews, your messaging, your social media is amazing. Your products are some of the best products by far that I have seen out there. But I always feel that individuals that are willing to expose themselves, willing to speak the truth when it's inconvenient, willing to sacrifice not only their time, their energy, their finances, and everything for a purpose that is bigger than themselves, usually have a deep-rooted emotional cause behind it. I know personally you have experienced personal loss. I know you had a very interesting beginning in this journey. But tell us a little bit about what got you started that made you commit and be so consistent over all these years to be able to identify a truth out there that is still, in my estimation, over 80% of the American public is still very much in denial or in ignorance when it comes to some of these topics.
Yeah, it's a great question and a great point. I think everybody should have a point of reference of who I am, why I am who we are. And most of us who have an obvious mission that drives them. I mean, you can picture anybody you know that is consistently found in social media or mainstream media who have some kind of mission, a foundation where they're doing one specific thing, no matter what it is. Doesn't matter if it's patient advocacy, vaccine education, it doesn't matter. Autism awareness, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what it is. There's a moment in that individual's life that transformed everything about the way they perceive their daily activities and their forward marching throughout the rest of their life. And for me, it's been an accumulation of several events. So when I was 21 years old, my 11-year-old younger sister, I'm the oldest of 5 children. I told you when you were in my home here a few weeks ago. And those of you who don't know this, I've known Dr. Fab since 2001. But I actually have not seen him physically since he handed my diploma to me when I graduated from Parker College of Chiropractic, as it was in 2004. When I walked across the stage, I had not seen him. in person till I shook his hand, welcomed him into my home. I think it was last week or the week before. So we had a great visit. It was great to see him. I've already known he's been out there. He's got his own mission, what drives him to be outspoken, to be a leader of other healers, and to bring awareness and help wake people up that there's potential for the human body to heal itself. He has seen it over and over and over. So there's individual stories and moments in his life that have changed his perspective on all things. For me, all of you watching, I think if you know anything about me, have seen any of my clips, I think everybody just thinks, I think everything the medical profession publishes is a lie. You've been deceived, and I'm just going to blow the whistle on the lie and the deceit, and then I'm going to tell you what the natural antidotes are. Like I've got some vendetta against the medical profession. Okay, that's okay. You don't know where that comes from. So I'm going to tell you where it comes from. I'll do it brief so we can spend time talking about how it is you at home can prepare yourselves and your family the way I have over the last 25 years, actually 28 years of adulthood. But this whole journey started when I was 21. So for a lot of you, a lot of people woke up during COVID, Fab, which was great. They realized things aren't just adding up common sense and rational wise. I mean, even now, I just find it humorous. I'm standing on stages every week. I did 3 events in California this weekend, and I start with this. So, a bat coughed in China and made the whole world sick, huh? And the whole place erupts with laughter. Like, it seems so moronic now, but how many of you actually bought that lie, right? It's really funny, that fable, that tale that absolutely is ridiculous. All right, so for some of us, we all sat back and laughed, but I want you to know where my drive comes from. There's one single reason why the tipping point ever happened for me, where I was raised in a very conventional medical home. I was vaccinated when I was a child. I only got the 8 vaccines before I was 8 years old in 1986. So I never got anything after that. So it's been a long time, but I was very traditional. So I was raised in a very conventional medical home like the majority of you watching. So then comes 21 years old. I'm 21 years old. I'm about to start college. I was raised in the Mormon church, and for those of you who know, from 19 to 21, right after you graduate high school, you're expected to go on a Mormon mission, young men particularly. So that had been a plan for my whole life, so I did it. 21 years old, I come back. I haven't started college yet, but I'm about to. And in that time, I have a youngest sister. I'm the oldest of 5, and I do carry that firstborn mentality where I'm a protector of my younger siblings. And I always have been. It's always been there. Always cared for them, loved them, nurtured them, still to this day. My youngest of all of them, 11 years old, starts having joint pain all throughout her body at 10 and a half years old. And then by the age of 11 is in 3 different hospitals in Dallas, Texas, eventually diagnosed by one of them. And the third one, each of them were 1-month stays, by the way, Fab. Every medical test you can think of, greatest health insurance you can imagine. And no one in the first 2 hospitals had a clue what was wrong with her, just sent her home. Only for her to call an ambulance or 911. My parents called to transport her back to a 3rd hospital. And that hospital decided to do something the other 2 didn't. They cut a big chunk out of her thigh, a biopsy of her quad muscle, sent it off to a pathology lab, came back and said, there are markers in the blood and in the tissue, specifically called ANA. And they said, this signifies to us that we now know she has an autoimmune disease. And based on her symptoms, she has a very rare childhood condition called systemic lupus erythematosus. When my parents are told what the outlook of her life is now going to look like with this condition, which they didn't know where it came from, they actually told my parents, listen very carefully, everybody. I do not know why. I told Fab the other day, I don't know why I hear things differently than other people. I really do think that there are some people, you've heard the phrase, some people are more easy to hypnotize than others, right? Even with personality types, type A personalities supposedly are harder to hypnotize than others. I just think there's something very odd. I think the majority of all human beings are very easily programmed to think a certain way and not hear truths, definitely not behave rational or use common sense as they hear things. My parents, I'm going to give you a perfect example. We're no different. They're looked at in the face and they're told the outlook for your daughter, the prognosis is the word you're all familiar with. Her prognosis, Mr. and Mrs. Ardis, is this. Remember, I'm 21 years old and they repeat this back to me when they go. They say, we don't know what causes lupus and there is no cure for lupus. There's just these 3 drugs she's got to live on for the rest of her life because it must be a genetic inherited problem. They can't figure it out, but there's no one in our family or lineage that has any of these problems. And it only started 6 months earlier when she was 10. You got to listen. They're just making up crap. It's ridiculous. So they say these things. There's no cure, and there's no cause that we're aware of. It must be inherited. So you have to live on these 3 drugs the rest of her life. By the way, mom and dad of this little child, put yourself in this position. Your daughter will most likely die young. She most likely will not live into her 40s because the drugs she needs to improve her quality of life, to reduce her pain, because they have no idea what's wrong with her. They just gave it a name. We're just going to have to drug her for pain, and those drugs will eventually destroy her kidneys and her liver. She will die from kidney or liver failure, most likely by the age of 40. And then they said this, sorry, but one of these prescription drugs she will live on for life causes birth defects and stillbirths. She will never be a mother and never have children of her own. Of course, she could adopt, but she will never have her own children. Now, put yourself in my parents' shoes. They're Mormons. Mormons are born to breed, man. From the time we're born, as many kids as you can have from the time you reach puberty. Go do it, right? I mean, this is really basically what it is. After you graduate, get married in the temple, blah, blah. Go have children, as many as you can. Multiply and replenish the earth. That's your job. All right, so this is really demoralizing for the parents who have this belief system with their own children, right? They have 5 kids of their own. They love their children and see the blessings of that. And now they're being told their daughter will never experience that of her own. So this is the prognosis. It is repeated back to me, Dr. Fab, and I couldn't believe it. They're looking me in the face with tears. They're distraught. They're grieving. There's been a literal stamp for the rest of her life. This is how her life is going to run no matter what. There's nothing you can do about it. When they said to me and repeated back to me what the medical professional said to them, we don't know what causes lupus and there is no cure. Everybody out there, just put yourself in my parents' situation. This is important. As I'm being told, the same thing being repeated. We don't know what's wrong with you and we don't know how to fix you. That's what they're saying. We don't know what causes your problem and we have no cure for you. I want you to put yourself in a position where you take your car to a mechanic shop and you walk in there and the mechanic goes, look, we don't know what's wrong with cars and we don't know how to fix them, but we'll bill your insurance and then we'll tell you what's wrong with it. We'll stamp some problem. Would you ever give that guy your money or ever show up for a follow-up appointment ever? No, but they get away with this 24/7. We don't know what's wrong with you. There is no cure. There's the drugs to take it. There's their Band-Aid to cover it up. What I heard from my parents was this. They don't know what's wrong with her and they don't know how to fix it, but they called it a name, lupus. She has to be on these 3 drugs for the rest of her life, and these 3 drugs are going to poison her liver and kidneys over time, and she will die early, and they're so poisonous she'll never be able to bear children. And if she does, there'll be stillbirths or birth defects. That's how toxic these things are. I immediately said to my parents, who are now repeating back to me what they heard, they literally say to me the exact same thing, and I look at them and I went just like this. I am not letting that profession kill my sister because they don't know what's wrong with her. That's ridiculous. Like, how did you not hear what I just heard? I just heard after 3 months, we still don't know what's wrong with her. We don't know. We have no idea what causes. We have no idea what's making the rattling noise in your engine. We have no idea. But we're going to call it rattle-itis. That's what your car has. And there is no cure. We're just going to give you some earplugs to cover it up. And by the way, they come by prescription, but they're covered by your auto insurance. You don't have to worry about it. You just put them in your ears. You won't hear the rattle anymore. The problem's gone. No, this is exactly what they said. We don't know how to fix the problem. This is 24/7 Fab. I cannot believe it. I looked at my parents and when she was 11, so 21, I was 1997. I said, I am not going to let that profession kill my sister because they don't know what's wrong with her. Something happened to her 6 months ago. It's common sense. She was fine till 6 months ago, and now she's in pain throughout her entire body. This is weird. So I set out to either become a researcher in medicine. I really set out to go get into med school because I didn't know anything else but conventional medicine. So I was going to get into research. Maybe they research root causes of illness. And when I was let down by multiple medical doctors with my own children being born in the next few years, I decided I couldn't do that anymore. There's a great story people know about my 4.5-month-old being adjusted after 9 pediatricians told me my first offspring a couple years later while I'm at BYU preparing to go to University of Utah's medical school, ranked 4th in the country. That was my whole plan. I'm going to go figure out how to heal my sister. I mean, something happened to her. While there, my son's born, my firstborn, and he throws up everything he's ever eaten from the time he's born. He screams at the top of his lungs like you're stabbing him. You've heard babies do that where they scream so loud they can't breathe. Their faces beat red. That's 24/7 for the first 4.5 months of life. never has a bowel movement on his own. I have to put KY jelly on my finger to stick it up his rear end to get him to have a bowel movement every day, every single day. 9 pediatricians in 4.5 months, Fab. All of them told me the same thing. We've done our evaluations. We've taken you through GI studies and had him drink barium radioactive dye, watched it go through motion x-rays, through their bowels. There's nothing wrong with him. This must be common and normal for him. He'll just outgrow it. We're just going to call it colic. And I remember remember, I was born Mormon. I was raised to breed. And I always wanted 6 kids. I actually remember telling all my kids' mother after that one, I must not be fit to be a parent. I cannot take this. I'm exhausted. I mean, I've never been so stressed out in my entire life. Listen to a baby scream 24/7. You've been on a plane and listened to anybody's baby, including your own. If they start crying, it is stressful. Every moment of our lives were that stressful for 4.5 months. All I'm told is he's colicky. And then a medical doctor who I've been mentoring with and shadowing for years at BYU gives my kid a 4th drug in the 4.5 months, and it's an antibiotic. And within 2 minutes of giving it in his mouth, he went into a grand mal seizure. I called the medical doctor who was my mentor from the kitchen phone, and I asked, what do I do? Do I take him to the ER? Do I call an ambulance? Do I bring him to your clinic? The ice bath? I don't know what to do. I'm a new parent, 20-something years old. And that medical doctor said something I will never forget the rest of my life, and this is one of the big motivators why I speak the way I do. This moron literally said to me, my drug over the phone would have never done that. The drug I prescribed would have never done that. Actually, if you look up the published side effects now, you'll see that is one of the listed side effects. He said to me on the phone, Mr. Ardis, that drug would have never done that. It would have never caused your kid to have a seizure. What did you do to your baby? Did you shake your baby or drop your baby to induce a seizure? That was it. And I have to tell you, Fab, for about 2 weeks, I really had a hard time trying to figure out, could I trust the colleagues in this profession who are just blindly throwing drugs at a sister of mine, making up excuses that these symptoms your kid has are just normal. I remember in that moment, hanging up the phone, I stopped the 4 medications he'd been on for 4 months, which didn't help anything. And then a couple of weeks later, I injured my shoulder at BYU, was referred to a chiropractor I didn't know was a chiropractor. I thought it was a physical therapist clinic. His name is Dr. Eric Lee. You know who he is. I go to his clinic. I'm getting help. And on the second visit, I'm there on a Wednesday and a Friday. On the second visit, he asked me, is that your baby screaming out there in the lobby like that? And he had a huge clinic. And I said, how do you know that's my kid? And he said, because you were here on Wednesday and that baby screamed like that the whole time you were here. When you left, it left. And now you came back and it's here again while you're here. Did you bring it? Is it yours? I tell him the story. He invites me to bring that kid to the room. And I thought it was just to get him out from the rest of the patients, like getting a screaming baby out of an airplane. Stop annoying everybody else. Get the baby out of the way. No, this guy's like, hey, lay that kid on this table for me, please. And I'm like, wait, what? What's a physical therapist going to do? Then he educates me about chiropractic, that he's not a physical therapist, and puts his hands on my kid's neck and looks at me in 2 seconds, Fab, and goes, was your baby born with C-sections or vacuum extraction? It's one or the other. He doesn't know anything about my kid. And I just looked at him and said, how would you know that? My son actually was born, and the kid, the old man used forceps and pulled him out of the vaginal canal, cutting his ears, bruising the side of his head, and he literally had bruises for like the first 3 weeks on the side of his head and had bleeding down both ears from the clamping action of the forceps that were so intense. He makes 1 2-second adjustment, and within 5 minutes, the story is more dramatic than this, but within 2 minutes, he fell asleep for 8 hours straight for the first time since being born, woke up 8 hours later with a bowel movement in his diaper, slept every night. Every night after that, I waited a year to see, is this really how this kid's going to be, before we had another one. And then I had 4 kids in 4 years, just so you know. So, and at every single birth, I had a chiropractor in the room, a doula. I made the medical doctors, the OBGYN, sign a contract I wrote as a young 20-something-year-old. You will agree to these terms before we ever start seeing you as an OBGYN overseeing my wife at the time's pregnancy. So this was very, very intentional for me. 9 OBGYNs turned me down. They wouldn't sign the contract. And the contract simply stated, you will not touch my kid until the shoulders come out of the vaginal canal. And you can put 1 finger under the shoulder and you can pull it out. You are not allowed to touch any part of my baby. You cannot recommend a C-section at any point. You cannot recommend any vacuum extractions, forceps, zero, nada, or you will be fired in that moment. And that's what I wrote by myself. I just wrote a Microsoft Word document, took it to them. It took 9 to finally agree. And then we did multiple birthing center births after that, but the next 2 were in hospitals. And anyway, this has been a long-standing thing for me. And I just always questioned, is what I'm being told by my medical professionals who literally were gaslighting me, a student who's being mentored by them. Did you shake your baby or did you drop your baby? I have to tell you, for 2 weeks, I literally found myself staring out a window wondering what was I going to do when I go to med school, and when I graduate med school, how can I possibly recommend my patients and refer them to any other medical colleagues? I'm not going to trust them. I just think they're going to gaslight them and blame whoever, the patient, for the issues. So I had a really hard wrestle with that. I eventually, 2 weeks later, called the chiropractor. That chiropractor called you. He said, give me a few minutes. I'm going to get a hold of the president of the school I went to, because I asked him, where'd you learn this stuff? I thought he went to a med school and learned it. I thought it was a specialty in med schools like gastroenterology and oncology. I thought chiropractic was a medical thing. He's like, no, they have their own schools, man. Let me go call the president of the school I graduated from. And that was you. And then you called me. I don't know if you remember that phone call. We talked for about an hour and a half, and then you shipped me books of some guy named D.D. Palmer and B.J. Palmer and asked me to read these books. And within 2 months, I dropped my enrollment at the University of Utah and actually transferred down to Parker College, where you were my president. And I got to listen to things I'd never heard in my whole life. And I have to say to everybody here, we're going to talk about some myths and truths related to healthcare. And a lot of these are going to be very hard for you. And that's okay. They were really hard for me sitting in chiropractic school. I told Dr. Fab, he didn't even know this until last week when he was in my home. I said, do you know that in 2 months of starting your school at Parker College of Chiropractic, remember, I was raised very conventional, medical minded. All of you were, most likely. Same as me. I would sit in these classes, and every single professor in chiropractic school, regardless of their vocation, there was an MD that was teaching pharmacology, a veterinarian who was the dean of academics. I mean, I had all kinds of skill sets that were teaching me stuff. They would look at me and say these words to the class. These words were this: innate intelligence is what heals the human body, governs all the systems of the body. They would talk about universal healing or natural healing. And man, did my programming really bug me every time those professors said it. In fact, it became so irritating to me because I would think this way. No, I was raised to believe that in the Mormon church, only healing comes from this priesthood that worthy men have. It doesn't come from anywhere else. It doesn't go, what is this, innate intelligence, weird witchcraft, sorcery, made up woo-woo stuff. I had a very hard time with it, even though a physical adjustment cured my kid of issues he had for 4.5 months that $35,000 worth of medical testing, billing, and payment never answered or resolved. So I still had a hard time with this. So everything we're going to talk about here might be hard for you. You might want to start thinking about, why is this challenging to me so much? Why am I wanting to resist? I walked out of class 2 months later, went down to Southwestern Medical School, got an application, filled it out, and was going to submit it over there because I was like, I cannot listen to this anymore. If it isn't the Mormon priesthood that heals people, then it's got to be drugs, vaccines, or surgery. And this natural healing thing was, man, it was a chore. It was a beating. All right, thank God my kid's mother looked at me and went like this: hey, man, you've been working your butt off at BYU for years to go to the highest ranked medical school you could find. At the time, the 4th highest ranked was the University of Utah. That's where I just planned to go. And Southwestern Medical School was not ranked in any way that way. It was not that high up there. So she was like, why don't you just sit out? You already took out loans for the first semester. Just finish the semester. And then maybe we can think about moving somewhere else and go to a different med school if you want to. So I literally, me and Fab laughed about it. Every professor just about had a complaint about me for the next 3 years because I would just sit on the front row and not even open my notebooks. I would just look at them and listen to them. And even in this first semester, by the end of the first semester, you have to understand I was listening to everything they said, and I had to see, does this compute rationally? It doesn't make common sense. Like, why am I feeling so uncomfortable with this information? It's so weird. And I talked to you about what I had to talk myself through in realizing that in my own personal life, medical doctors did not heal problems that I had health-wise, that were challenges to me throughout my life. And I use the example personally, my story to myself, every time they would say innate intelligence and universal healing principles, I would sit there and go like this: no, that can't be true. It's drugs, surgery, vaccines, this priesthood in the Mormon church. So no, this isn't true. No. Until I sat back and went like this: wait, I'm very much in athletics my whole life. I've broken multiple bones. Didn't the medical profession help me heal my bones that broke? You have to put yourself in my mindset and put yourself in your own mindset. If you break your arm and you go to your ER, they're going to take an x-ray that tells you that it's broken. They can see it's broken. Then they put a cast around your arm. This story is so important that you guys get it, because anything we talk about coming up here in this webinar, any question about healing, you've got to go back to this story and this analogy, because it applies across every disease, every injury, every symptom you've ever had. Until this clicked and I could walk myself through how the body truly heals itself, and had already done it multiple times in my own life, even though that's not what I thought was happening. I thought the medical profession had everything to do with it. I thought they were the grand wizards of healing, right? So they would put a cast on your arm. Think about it, a splint, crutches, wheelchair, I don't care. They're going to put a cast around the break, and then they're going to tell you, hey, come back every few weeks and let us x-ray it again. Now, up to this point, I want to ask you, what in the world has the medical doctor done at all to help heal the bone? Nothing. They just wrapped the cast around it. They took a picture of it. Oh, it's broken. Yep. Let's wrap it and charge your insurance for the cast and the x-ray. Great. Now go home and come back in 4 weeks. We'll re-x-ray it and see how fast it's healing. You know what's miraculous about this? The medical profession, these grand wizard authority figures of healing, are all twiddling their thumbs in their offices waiting for you to show back up 4 weeks later, 6 weeks later, so they can take a picture of the innate immune system of your body healing the two broken fragments back into one. And if you look at me and you're listening right now and you're like, yeah, but what about surgeons that put a rod in between the two pieces because it's so fragmented? They didn't do a damn thing to heal the bone either. They have to re-x-ray it still every few weeks, waiting to see, does the body by itself gather calcium all around your body and go put it where it belongs, which is around the rod, and then they'll pull the rod out, then the bone will completely heal inside there. Your medical doctor does nothing to heal a broken bone. Your medical doctor does nothing to heal an organ that is sick. It does nothing. The only thing that heals your body is your innate immune system that God put inside of you. Just like in the scriptures you're told, God put intelligence inside of seeds so that it knows exactly what kind of fruit to produce 100% of the time, no questions asked. He infused the intelligence there. He put the same thing in every cell of your human body. You've been blinded by men who are programming to believe that healing comes from something outside of you and some profession outside of you. They're all just sitting back waiting for the broken arm to heal, and in every scenario, if you've got diabetes, you have a broken pancreas. If you have cirrhosis of your liver, you've got a broken liver. If you have kidney failure, kidney stones, there's something broken with your kidneys. If you have dementia, there's something broken with the brain. Can it repair itself? You better believe it. What's the purpose of the cast with the broken arm, which is your every bone's an organ? If they wrap it, what's the purpose of the cast? It has nothing to do with the healing process of the bone inside. It's only there to prevent you from further injuring it. So just remember this. If your brain is broken and you have dementia, MS, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's, what are you going to do to protect this brain from being further broken? How about you stop poisoning your brain? How about you stop allowing toxins and chemicals they know crosses the blood-brain barrier to cause dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's? Why don't you stop doing that stuff? And when it comes to healing, Fab, I love looking at the questions you sent me that you wanted to discuss. I just need you guys all to understand this. The majority of the things that Dr. Fab and I know about the ability of the body to heal itself and reclaim itself back to perfect form typically requires no action of yours. It requires you stop doing something. It's not like you got to go buy some technology, you got to go buy some certain supplement, go buy some certain... No, you just need to stop doing what you're still doing that is leading to the problem. And there's many examples of that, and we can get into that. But typically it is, you just need to stop doing stuff. For example, if you have kidney problems, kidney stones, you're on dialysis and you're drinking soda, what is wrong with you? Your kidneys are only designed by God to filter water. So if you're not just putting water as your primary fluid source into your body every single day, notice When you go into a hospital, they don't hang a bag of IV fluids that say Dr. Pepper on it or Mountain Dew on it or Coors Light is in the bag. What's the only thing they're putting up there? It's water mixed with salt, which is amazing. By the way, when I just said that, y'all should just think about this. That same profession that tells you that salt is bad for you and you should limit your salt. The number one thing they put in every single sick person, no matter what's wrong with them, heart attack, strokes, it doesn't matter, heat stroke, fever, pregnancy, it doesn't matter, headache, it doesn't matter. Notice the very first thing they give you is salt water, and that's 9,000 milligrams of salt every single day, which is a fourth of what the FDA says you need to take every day, and 10 times more than what the American Heart Association says you should have every day. And that's what they pump in every single one of you, because they know salt is absolutely required from you for your body to function. And they've wanted you to believe it's bad for you because they know you will feel bad. You will end up calling the ambulance for any reason whatsoever, and they're going to pump you full of salt before you even get back to the hospital. And no matter what your problem is, you're going to feel better. Do you want to know why? Salt is required by every cell of the human body. This is a great myth. You've all been sold that salt is bad for you and you should limit your salt. No, the lower you lower your salt, guess what happens when you restrict salt? Medical profession doesn't want you to know this, and they're not taught this in med school. They're told it's bad for you. Don't blame the medical doctors. They're all programmed to tell lies to you, falsehoods that they've been taught in med school 24/7. Then they're tested on it, and they're told, you better answer these falsehoods correctly in order to pass this test so we can give you your fancy hat, your diploma, and your MD title. So they have to memorize all the lies and deceits, and they have to be able to repeat them in order to pass and come tell you those lies they want you to know. Salt is not bad for you. Did you know when you restrict salt, your human body and every mammal on earth releases high amounts of a hormone called aldosterone? And do you know what aldosterone does to every blood vessel in your body? It calcifies it and makes it hard. Guess what happens when you harden blood vessels that are supposed to move with blood flow? Guess what happens when they become rigid and firm? The pressure inside the vessel goes up. And guess what happens to your blood pressure? Up, 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 up. The lower and longer periods you don't put enough salt inside of you. This is why if you have a heart attack or a stroke, what's the first line of defense? Even if you have high blood pressure at stroke levels, guess what the first thing is every medical professional will do? They will pump you full of salt, and they'll usually do a push. 2 bags of salt water into your veins to get you to normalize your blood pressure, and that's 18,000 milligrams of salt. The FDA says you should never have more than 2,200 in a day. The American Heart Association says, no, it should have more than 1,100. Yet that same profession pumps 9,000 milligrams at a minimum into every human being in every single scenario, in every hospital for any condition the moment you're put in an ambulance or in the hospital. You should ask your doctors, if salt's so bad for you, why does every patient in this hospital have salt water going into their veins? Because they know you're going to feel better. They've created a whole society and humanity who believes salt's bad for them. Nope. Mammals can't live without salt. That's why every animal you've ever consumed, eaten, seen on a farm, they have a salt lick sitting out in the field where they can lick as much salt as they know they need and require, and you need more. Yeah, not more than a cow. They're bigger than you. Not more than a horse. They're bigger than you. But you need an adequate amount of salt. Anyway, there you go. So that's why I am who I am. And then in February 2020, my father-in-law was killed in a hospital here in Dallas, Texas, with a ill-advised hospital protocol. The pandemic had not reached Texas, so this was in Texas. So there was no restrictions to go in and be with my father-in-law. But they kicked me out of the hospital on day 7 and killed him on day 11. And that story's in my book called Moving Beyond COVID-19 Lies. And the only reason why, Fab, you've seen me on screens, you've seen me on social media, I was doing my job to help people one-on-one and practice all the things I'd learned in school, outside of school, to help people improve their lives. And then 3 months later, in May of 2020, amid my grief and anger and upset, there was reports in the media of people dying in hospitals, just like my father-in-law did 3 months earlier in New York City with this thing called COVID. And I decided, I thought they were using the same protocol they used with my father-in-law, which I knew very well, and got all his medical records the whole time he was there. I thought they were using the same drug, so I went to the CDC's website. They didn't have the hospital protocol there. They directed me to the NIH, and when I got to the NIH's website, I read about a new drug that's never been FDA approved. It's never passed human trials, if you read the trials that are in the actual memo. But a guy named Dr. Anthony Fauci had mandated one drug and one drug only, an experimental drug called remdesivir. And then he said it was proven safe and effective in these 2 studies. I read the studies and I could not believe it. I was shocked. It was not found safe and effective by the safety boards of those research studies on humans. It was actually termed the most deadly drug in both trials, caused acute kidney failure, filled the lungs with fluid, and they would die. 53% of all people given that drug for Ebola virus died, which is more than what Ebola kills. And that's why they canceled the drugs. But this was the drug Anthony Fauci said all hospital patients in America will get for COVID-19 and were being given in New York City. And that's why so many people died. You were all told it was the virus. No, they were poisoning your loved one to death in the hospitals. And it was a massive profit grab for many, many people, unfortunately. So I decided to hire a publicist that day when I realized this guy was lying that I never knew in my whole life. I knew Fab. I didn't know Dr. Anthony Fauci. And I decided to take all my anger and frustration during my grieving of my father-in-law's loss, who I adored. And I decided it was time to take vengeance against someone else who was trying to do something very similar to other people. And my whole goal was to hire a publicist, get it in the media, and make sure people understood in your hospitals during COVID lies a danger and a threat to your loved one's life, and it's better for you to stay at home. And then, as you guys have all watched, most likely, I joined forces with a bunch of medical professionals who wanted my help to make sure people advocated for staying at home, doing telemedicine, because they figured out I was right about all of the remdesivir ICU protocols for COVID-19 patients, and all hospitals in the country were being bribed by Medicare to give all Medicare-age patients in America remdesivir for 10 days, which they knew would end the lives of the majority of those people. And it did. There's a reason why America has more deaths than any other country in the whole world for COVID. It is because America was the only country for the whole first year of the pandemic, 2020, who was using remdesivir in every hospitalized patient. And that's why we have twice the amount of deaths of any other country. America, everybody wake up, sucked worse than any other country in the whole world at keeping its citizens alive during COVID. You need to drop your faith in this healthcare system because it failed our citizens more than any other countries did. Every other country that isn't yours did better than ours at keeping their citizens alive. Anyway, so I felt a spark on that day from God, truly, that you were put on this earth and your entire adult life has been primed to warn the masses of the looming threat behind the sorcery, witchcraft of pharmakia, which I had been peeling the layers and layers of deceit that I had to work my own indoctrination through, right? I'd had to go through my own using common sense and rationale. So I actually tell people, please trust your gut, trust your intuition. And if you don't have information, but you have a leery feeling, say no, and then go do your own research. And I truly do believe that God inspired and will reveal to you and provide the resources to you to know how to navigate the deceptions you're being approached with in healthcare when you have those feelings and interpretations.
Well, one of the things that I love about what you said, and number one, is that it's not easy sometimes to accept a different way of thinking. And that is something that we all need to embrace, that it's okay. Our parents did the best they could, but is that enough? And should we trust everything out there without questioning? We've seen that has not worked out for most people. But in the next few minutes that we have, I want you to give me some brief responses to some of these myths and some of these truths that we're hearing about. And the first one that I had is one that, to me, was a little bit interesting because I have not heard anybody talk about this. And that is that most people see that nicotine is bad and that it's evil and that we should stay away from it and definitely keep our children away from it. But at the same time, is that true? Or is there something else? Or is it a myth?
It is 100% a myth, actually, that nicotine is highly addictive. That's number one. But oh my goodness, the FDA made sure it's been printed on every tobacco product since 1994. For those of you interested to see if maybe, like I just went through the deceit around a natural substance called salt, they tell you to avoid it, yet that's what they give to you in every medical emergency. Okay, that's the first line of hope they give you. Nicotine is no different. So nicotine, which is most found in a plant called the tobacco plant. And for some of you, there's things I've learned over the last 3 years about nicotine and tobacco I've just never known. Let's go back to my Mormon upbringing. Mormons don't smoke. They don't participate in tobacco, no tea, no coffee, no drugs. I mean, so to me, tobacco was always bad. I just wasn't going to do it. So I never looked into tobacco. Imagine my shock when during COVID-19, when I'm testifying Capitol buildings all over the country with other medical doctors like Dr. Peter McCullough and others testifying on behalf of your life in your state, that I would pull up studies and mainstream articles where researchers, scientists, medical professionals, hospital administrators are shocked that there's only one group of people that appear immune to COVID-19 and never get it. And it's smokers of tobacco products. It was common throughout the entire world. Every scientist, every hospital administration, every medical doctor, every researcher was very aware that there was this seeming paradox to this respiratory virus. A lung problem, supposedly COVID was. The people that supposedly have sick lungs, which would be those smoking tobacco products we've all been told is bad for your lungs, those people seemed completely immune to all COVID in every variant. It didn't matter. To this day, they're still the least affected. So there's a lot of stuff about COVID and nicotine that opened up my view to go look at, is there some deceit here around nicotine? I don't know. Well, one thing I've learned that I did not know. Did you know, anyone out there, that tobacco, the plant, is actually in the nightshade vegetable family? Did you know that? I didn't know that till 4 weeks ago. Did you know that all the nightshade vegetables, including eggplant, red tomatoes, bell peppers, zucchini, squash, did you know these are all the highest containing nicotine foods on earth? Did you know eggplants were number 2 containing nicotine on earth? Did you know every red tomato on your BLT or sample of ketchup is the 3rd highest containing nicotine substance on the planet? Did you know white potatoes are the 4th highest containing nicotine plant on earth? That means every potato chip, every French fry, and those French fries you dipped in ketchup are 2 doses of nicotine. Every hash brown with ketchup, that's 2 doses of nicotine. Mashed potatoes, baked potatoes, doesn't matter. Did you know this? And does it shock you? Have you ever eaten an eggplant and then that night, in the middle of the night, broke out in a night sweat because of the addictive nature of the nicotine in the eggplant? No. Have you ever heard somebody ask for a tomato break because they're going through withdrawals from tomatoes and the nicotine inside of them? No. Lots of people are really challenged when I go, hey, if your kid's sick, you should probably give them a nicotine patch. And they're like, whoa, 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 I would never give my kid nicotine. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Yes, you do every week. You take your kid to Chick-fil-A, Burger King, McDonald's. It's French fries and ketchup, 2 doses of nicotine every flipping day. You just didn't know you were doing it. And then your next question should be, well, if they have the highest, 2nd highest, 3rd highest, 4th highest amounts of nicotine, Fab, why don't those vegetables come with a warning label in your grocery store? Warning, eggplant contains nicotine, a highly addictive substance. The truth is, nicotine is not addictive, and if you'd like to learn more about nicotine and how I know it is not addictive, it's very easy to figure it out. But if you actually go into my book, Moving Beyond COVID-19 Lies, Chapter 13 is all about how nicotine was the most effective antidote to all things COVID, vaccine injury, hospitalization for COVID-19, and then I dive into the research about all the health benefits that have been published by medical science in relationship to nicotine and tobacco in nicotine, and the nicotine by itself. So let me run through a few of these. Nicotine by itself for 500 years. I didn't say 100. I said 500 years in medical journals since 1492. I'm not joking. I can show you the medical textbooks that reference every year it was published. Tobacco and nicotine were cures for the conditions I'm about to name. Nicotine is a curative agent from tobacco or inside tobacco. It is a curative agent for Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis, Alzheimer's, every arthritis a person can experience, osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, gouty arthritis, psoriatic arthritis. It's known to cure all those. Any rheumatic problem called rheumatism, rheumatologist, anything a person goes to a rheumatologist for. That means fibromyalgia, lupus, Sjogren's, it doesn't matter, rheumatoid arthritis. Tobacco has been a known cure for all rheumatism for 500 years. And you know, it's amazing. Anybody goes to a rheumatologist, those rheumatologists are told to tell every one of their patients once they start their steroids for the rest of their life by prescription, because you're told it's a genetic problem. No, it isn't. They tell you also, make sure your patients know not to eat any nightshade vegetables for the rest of their life and avoid them. The reason they're told that is because if you did consume them on a regular basis, all your pain and inflammation will go away, and they know that. No different than avoid all your salt so they'll get sick and they'll come to the ER where we can bill them for salt we're going to give them in the form of saline, salt water, IV bags. I mean, that's what they call it, fluids. So anyway, so nicotine is also a published cure for ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease. Did you know it's also published to reverse hypothyroidism? Nicotine by itself. Oh, well, how much Synthroid and levothyroxine is the only antidote given to people by their endocrinologist? Ask your endocrinologist if nicotine is right for you if you have a thyroid problem, because it's already been proven for 500 years to be beneficial. Did you know glioblastoma brain tumors in 2021 was confirmed to be shrunk by half in 72 hours with just a small dose of nicotine in 3 days? Did you know myocarditis, heart inflammation that has a 50% death rate in 5 years from diagnosis? Did you know they published in 2021? A small dose of nicotine over 3 days cures the heart damage called myocarditis by day 14, but it's only 3 days of nicotine. Well, do you know how many sales of Xarelto and Eliquis prescription drugs are challenged if you knew that nicotine and tobacco could cure that in just a couple of days? Now they can't prescribe those drugs to you for the rest of your life. So these are some of the simple lies and myths you've been told. And then for autism, in my chapter 13 of my book, I show you 3 research studies at the end of the chapter, which are children, teenagers, and adults who were given a 7 milligram nicotine patch between their shoulder blades. And within 7 days, their entire life transforms. All of them do. So there's a wide understanding that nicotine provides health benefits. And the truth is the pharmaceutical industry only profits off of synthetic materials. They already are making false, fake versions called synthetics of natural compounds. And they prescribe them to you and make massive profits. And then they bastardize and demonize the natural substance they found it in. And then they will work to get the governments of the world to ban them. And there are multiple examples of this. I even show you in my book. They're doing it right now, Fab. Big Pharma is paying with lobbying money called bribe money, legal bribe money. They're paying 200 countries who have already started restricting access to tobacco and nicotine, and they've all been told, those 200 countries, including our own United States of America, they have to have banned tobacco and all nicotine products over the counter by the year 2030. That's in 5 years. So you might want to ask yourself, why? Why would Big Pharma be bribing all these companies to get rid of them? They profit off of you not knowing something miraculously inside the tobacco plant that God made. The next thing I've been shocked by. I did not know this. I did not learn this in chiropractic school. Your professors did not teach me this, Fab. I had to learn this outside of there, okay? Every cell in the brain has what's called alpha-7 nicotine receptors. Every cell in your heart has alpha-7 nicotine receptors. Every heart cell has nicotine receptors. Every immune cell, red blood cell, white blood cell, T cells, B cells that help fight cancer and heal wounds and kill infections, all are activated by nicotine. Then my question for you all at home is this. If nicotine's so bad for you, why did God create you with cells that are made to receive nicotine to activate their full potential? If you have a problem with this discussion, it's not with me, it's with God. You're going to have to go talk to him about, hey, God, how come you created tobacco with this life-saving nicotine substance? Why did you make our body on day 6 that requires nicotine in every cell that is found in nightshade vegetables? By the way, go eat them, all of you. You need them for your body. That's why God gave them to you. If you have a problem, you need to ask God at Judgment Day, hey, man, hey, how come you gave us a product the FDA says is bad for us? How come you gave us a tobacco blend they say is bad for us? And why did you make our cells to benefit from that substance? Don't you follow the FDA? God. The truth is, God knows more than man does. Man manipulate other men's minds to believe certain things. So I know these are long-winded answers, but I hope these stories, these analogies help you figure out that you've been lied to, and they're using lies that don't even make sense. But if you haven't studied propaganda, Joseph Goebbels, the father of propaganda for the Nazi regime, said, if you tell a big lie and you keep repeating that lie, eventually everybody will believe it. So what's been the lie since 1994? That they keep repeating, and make sure you see it and hear it every single day of your life. Nicotine is a highly addictive substance. So when I say the word nicotine, you're battling what you've been indoctrinated, just like I was when I was sitting in school. I was very challenged by this ability of the body to heal itself. What? No, we need drugs, surgeries, vaccines, and we need the priesthood of the Mormon church. No, this isn't true. This isn't what I've known. No. Oh, the truth is, you've all been lied to about nicotine. Nicotine is not addictive. Nicotine does not cause cancer. You have all been lied to. So that's one scenario. Then I'm going to give you another example of propaganda, okay? Because I need you to start realizing you've all been programmed in your emotional reaction to things I say or other people say. It's an emotional reaction because of a belief system created by something you've heard repeated back to you. So I do this for stages all the time. I'll look at them, I'll go like this. I want y'all to sit there and say out loud, what are the first 3 words that come to your brain when I say this? First 3 words, everybody out there listening. This is when you know you've been brainwashed, by the way. You just didn't know it. All right, because everybody in unison will say the same thing. The whole crowds, thousands of people will say the exact same thing. And they did it again this weekend, 3 events in California. That's it. All right, when I say these 2 words, you tell me what the next 3 words are that come up in your brain. Just scream them out. Vaccines are. And the moment I say that, vaccines are, the next 3 words, everybody yells out, safe and effective. Do you want to know why? All your loved ones, when you say, don't get the vaccines for COVID, I've been listening to Peter McCullough and Dr. Ardis and blah, blah. Do you know why they got so upset with you? The only thing they've been programmed and brainwashed to hear when the word vaccines are spoken are 3 accompanying words after that word. So your brain repeats safe and effective, and yet your loved ones are looking at you going, hey, man, they're causing blood clots, miscarriages. I'm seeing deaths all over the place being reported by cardiologists. You need to think twice before doing this. Oh, my goodness. The emotional response is because they haven't actually walked through the rationale. They've been programmed, brainwashed, and it was a massive cult effort to just bombard you with one lie after another, after another, after another. And that's what we live through. So most of the things I say to people are very challenging. It makes them upset, but then they realize this guy speaks common sense. But I also know we are very deeply indoctrinated with disinformation about the potential of the human body's ability to heal and the benefits that nature has the information nature has infused in it to assist the natural human body to heal itself. And it has the potential all the time. You have to get out of your own mind's way through the indoctrination, and you have to allow yourself to stop poisoning yourself and reintroducing poisons, both emotional, physical, you name it.
Wow, well, you have made me look at nicotine in a whole different way. I'm wearing a patch for the first time after listening to your interviews. There's another one out there, which is a truth or myth. Parasites and toxins are rare and not a major cause of chronic disease.
Very good. So parasites, let's talk about parasites. I was shocked, Fab, that many medical doctors in the Dallas area where you and I live, any of my patients who were already given a medical diagnosis, were on drugs, but weren't getting better and wanted to come see if they could live free of their symptoms, would come to my office in Frisco, Texas. Many of them already had medical doctors and had 6 months, 1-year annual checkups. And when they would go back to those medical doctors would do their blood work and evaluation, then do a follow-up and ask them, how are you doing since our last visit? And they would repeat, I'm doing very well. I'm doing a lot better. And they'd go, great. What have you done different? Oh, I'm doing this parasite cleanse with Dr. Ardis and his Ardis Healing Center. 100% of these MDs looked at my patients and went like this. Oh my God, don't listen to Dr. Ardis. This is what they say. Don't listen to that guy. Parasites don't exist in America. This is what medical doctors, 100% of them are told in medical schools in America. True or false on their test. Scantron, true or false? Do you want to pass this test and get a degree? True or false? Parasites exist in America. And they had to check false in order to pass. And so when they get out of school and you go, hey, this guy's telling me I got parasites. Can you go look for parasites? I'm watching this stuff on social media about parasites and cancer. What do you think, doc? They're going to look at you and go, don't listen to that crap. Parasites don't exist in America. Now, this is the funny part. This is the common sense part. My patients would often call me and go, Dr. Ardis, I missed my last appointment because I'm really struggling here. My MD, who I trust and love, but doesn't know what you know, says I shouldn't listen to you because parasites don't exist in America. But you told me I had parasites most likely and tested me for parasites, and you give me a parasite cleanse. I'm feeling better, but I don't know. Should I trust them or you? Okay, everybody, look at me or listen to me. This was my answer to every single one of them on the phone when they're feeling bad and shame and guilty that they didn't show up for the last appointment because they're conflicted. They're getting different views from two people they trust. So they don't know what to do. You saw this during COVID a lot, right? I don't know what to do. Just give me the vaccine then. I don't know. I'm hearing they're bad. They're good. I don't know. Just tell me what to do. Well, you have to get the shot to keep your job. Okay, just give it to me, right? Confusion paralyzes people to act. It's just what it does. All right, everybody, let's use some common sense. This is what I used with my patients. It blew them away. Most of us don't use common sense, by the way. This is exactly what I'd say to them. Lady, man, do you believe your medical doctor when he says parasites don't exist in America? Well, I don't know. I'm not a scientist or a medical professional. I have to believe him. Now to go, do you? Great. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever had a dog or cat that was ever born in America and took it to a vet? Yes. What did your vet 100% of the time test your animals for? Heartworms. What's a heartworm? A parasite. You're right. It is a parasite. So I have a question for you. Do parasites exist in America or not? And they'd go, oh, they obviously exist. Good. Then I'd go like this. Can those heartworms that live in your dog or cat, can they transfer to humans? And they'd go, I don't know. And I'd go like this. Good. Go look it up when you get home. And then they'd call me and go, oh my God. Every heartworm, every veterinarian knows, transmits to humans. It's called a zoonotic tendency. This infection transfers from one species to another. Oh yeah, it does. And every veterinarian knows it. But I find this ironic that veterinarians don't know it. I mean, veterinarians know it, but your medical doctors don't know this. And then I would go like this. Great. Do you think your medical doctor's ever had a dog or a cat? Yes. The one that told you parasites don't exist in America? Do you think they give their dog or cat HeartGuard that every veterinarian tells them to? Yeah. Do you want to call them back and ask them if they've ever had a dog or cat born in America? Because their blanket statement was parasites don't exist in America. And then I'd laugh with them. They'd go, oh my God, I don't need to call them. I'll be back in your office on Tuesday. Okay, good. Thank you. All right. That was an easy way to dispel it. But I want all y'all to recognize something. If you believe that parasites do not exist in America, I want you to go to cdc.gov, the Centers for Disease Control in Atlanta, Georgia, that represents only Americans and your health. Go to cdc.gov and in the search tab, type the word parasites and hit enter. And then I want you to read what the CDC says about American humans and parasites. I quote, 90 million Americans currently have parasites causing chronic illness. The primary source for those parasites is your drinking water from your cities. Okay, listen, 90 million? That's almost a quarter of all Americans that they're aware of have parasites. How do they know that this many people have parasites, but your medical profession actually believes parasites don't exist in America, so they never even look for them? This is the dichotomy I find is like, oh my God, the CDC knows it. They even publish it, but your medical doctors leaving med school are told they do not exist. Don't look. So let me give you an example. Dr. Fab, did you know that every single MS patient whose brain has been dissected after death in 2016, they took the cerebral spinal fluid and the cerebral spinal fluid of your spinal cord and brain, that your brain floats in and your spinal cord floats it. Then they took the brain of everybody who died with MS. They cut them into little bitty pieces, the brain, and guess what they found at 100% of all of them? 3 to 6 inch worms called roundworms. What are roundworms? That's another word called nematodes. Guess what the common word is for all you people? Heartworms in your dog and cat. They found 3 to 6 inch heartworms in the brain of every MS patient, burrowing holes and canals in their brains. You know what's amazing about that? They're eating holes in your brain. And then they found them in every cerebral spinal fluid sample, swimming worms in their spinal column. And what's amazing about MS is your symptoms change from year to year. Even the holes in your brain they see on an X-ray or CT scan, your neurologist, they will move. You'll have a hole this right here. Then next year it's here. Then it's over here. And as that changes, you'll have vision changes one year and then they improve. And then the next year you can't use your left arm. And then a year later you can use your left arm, but now it's your right foot. I mean, that's because the brain is healing as the worm is eating holes and caves through your brain. The parts it's eating are dying and you're not getting the information. So vision changes. It's amazing to me that you can see the physical holes in the brain your neurologist calls lesions. But every person who's dissected a brain with MS, they have worms eating holes in their brain. So parasites exist in America. They exist in your dogs and cats. They transfer to humans. If you would like a simple guide, I carried in my office here in Frisco, Fab, right down the street from you. I actually carried in my office a Banfield veterinarian clinic pamphlet titled that you can find in every Banfield veterinarian clinic in the country. That is the largest veterinary clinic in the country. They're in all your PetSmarts and other department stores. If you go into their lobby and waiting room, pick up the 3-fold pack, the little pamphlet that's titled Parasites in You. When you open it, there's a chart and it shows you all the most common parasites they're testing your animal for that they know transfers to you and causes disease. Parasites exist in America, but as long as you keep your health professionals ignorant of that fact, your patients will continue to stay sick. You can prescribe them drugs to manage their symptoms or attempt to for the rest of their life while worms are in your brain, eating your brain to death, creating misery, harm, and dysfunction, affecting every activity of daily living, which is a insurance claim term. Activities of daily living. Always love that.
But there's a way to...
Parasites, tapeworms, roundworms, protozoa, and flukes. I just want to make sure I remember that. Tapeworms, protozoa, flukes, and tapeworms.
What would you suggest then for somebody that wants to find out if they currently have parasites? And number two, how would they go about resolving that issue? Because it's one of those essential things that I keep hearing you talk about it again and again.
Yeah, and this is very key. So if you went to your medical doctor right now, there's what's called LabCorp, Quest, and Genova Labs. They offer what they call a comprehensive stool analysis for parasites. It is not comprehensive. In fact, it doesn't even test for tapeworms. It doesn't test for heartworms, called nematodes and roundworms, and none of them test for flukes at all. So 3 out of the 4 types of parasites, they don't even test for. So good luck getting a positive result out of their test. I do not trust these labs. They're there to look for a very small fraction of a parasite, and most of them are going to flag negative, and those aren't even the most common per the CDC. All right, so I recommend through my website, I tried to make this easy for people 5 years ago. If you think you might have parasites based on symptoms that everyone deals with, if they have parasites, there's a simple reference you can look at. You can either go to thedrardisshow.com and there's a parasite test kit. If you go to that page and you click the Buy Now button, it redirects you to a different website's page where that test kit lives. It's called parasitetesting.com. If you go to parasitetesting.com and go to the test tab, it's the first test kit on that test page out of like several, but you'll see it on the far left at the top. It's called the Full GI Panel and Bacterial Swab. That's what you need to do first. There's an example report there on that homepage and product page, and you can look at how that's going to come back to you in your email, showing you the results for the specific parasites you have. And it will actually explain to you where that parasite comes from so you can prevent re-exposure in the future. Because if you get it out of you, do you really want these symptoms again? If we cleared up your MS by getting rid of parasites, do you really want to get them again? No. So this report is really, really impressive. So once you do that stool analysis through parasitetesting.com, if you buy it, it's $284. If you don't want to pay $284, there's a 10% off code. Has nothing to do with me because I recommend it so often. There are groups like, hey, just tell everybody if they want 10% off, we'll give them to you. It's my last name, ARDIS, all capitals, the number 10 exclamation point. You just get the stool kit mailed to you. You're going to get a emailed report, 2 of them, a parasite report, and then a disease-causing bacteria and fungal report a couple weeks later. 2 reports for the 1 stool sample. 2 reports are coming from 1 stool sample. So that's where I recommend you go for that. And then the question is, well, what do you do if it comes back positive? The answers are in the report. The report comes back and tells you, if you prefer drugs, these are the drugs that work against the specific parasite, bacteria, or fungi. And then these are the herbs that they recommend because they don't recommend drugs, but they know a lot of people will prefer that. So you got both the answers there in the kit.
Now, I didn't ask you this early, but I know some other people are questioning is from a nicotine patch perspective or a way to bring nicotine into my body, what would you recommend? Is because I'm sure that there's a lot of different options out there.
Yes. All right. So great question with nicotine. Nobody's experimented more with nicotine and how to get nicotine than me. So I've learned the to-dos and the not to-dos. All right. So there's really only 2 ways. You're either going to put it in your mouth or you're going to inhale it or you're going to put it on your skin. So you're going to absorb it. The patches I prefer because anybody who's nicotine naive, I just want to tell you, most of the medical research studies that I've already quoted of the health benefits proven, they typically use nicotine patches. So whatever the amount of nicotine in the patch, 7 milligrams, 14 milligrams, 21, or if you cut them down as I recommend to smaller doses, whatever that dose is getting slowly delivered through your skin in a 24-hour window of time. Any other nicotine product, gum, mint, suck it, pouch, cigarette, tobacco, chew, I don't care. You put that in your mouth, you're getting the whole dose in like 5 minutes. Nicotine has amazing health benefits, but like everything on earth, moderation is the key, and everybody's different. So many people, I tell them, I recommend start about 1 milligram doses. Now, everybody listening, just know this, because I had to learn it. Gums for nicotine only come in 2 milligram and 4 milligram doses. I just said 1 milligram is what I would start at. So anybody out there, please use your common sense and rationale. I just said I would start at 1 for the first week. If you bought the gum, please tell me you figured it out. If they're only selling 2 milligram gum, you know to cut it in half or bite it in half. Please tell me you figured that out. Okay. If it's the 4 milligrams, I would not recommend 4 milligrams to start with. Anyway, just buy the 2 milligrams and bite it in half for the first week, once a day. And then go up. You can go up to 2. My wife from the very beginning, 3 years ago, started with 2 milligram tablets. She would chew it for 10 minutes, 4 a day. And on day 3, a myriad of long COVID suffering she had for 2 whole years that would not go away no matter what I tried, miraculously went away on day 3. Just like every other long COVID symptom on earth. It's amazing. All right, so some people do well with the oral. I just tell them to start slow, and some people never feel anything but get better, like my wife did. If I try something oral, I'll get nauseous like right away. Like within a few minutes, I'm like, oh, I'm feeling queasy, dizzy a little bit. Not dangerous. I just feel it. I'm like, oh, something's very different. And just like with parasite cleanses, you've heard of the Herxheimer reaction. You just back down the doses. If you're feeling nauseous with a nicotine patch of gum and you've got some dose, rip off the patch, spit out the gum, and then try the next day and go to a smaller dose. Every single human is different. I like using the patches because it's a much slower release and consistent over a longer period of time. I put a new patch on every single day. And then some people like the suckets, the mints, the gums, and that's fine. The pouches, there's lots of people that have those. Tucker Carlson even has his own brand of tobacco leaf pouches you just suck on. And then mints that are 3, 6, and 9. Always start with the least. Even Tucker, talking about me in an interview with Alex Clark the other day at Turning Point USA, said, she goes, oh, let me just try one. I've already heard from Dr. Ardis here in studio a couple months ago. I think I'm ready to try it. And he goes, this is a 9 milligram tablet of his. He's like, do not do that. I always recommend starting small. So I recommend 1 milligram patches. And remember, I told you they only sell 7, 14, and 21. Do the math. If you have a 7 milligram nicotine patch, you're going to use a pair of scissors and cut it into 7 equal pieces. This is how easy it gets, right? Just divide it, cut it up, put it on you. And please don't call Fab and say, but on the box it says don't cut them. Okay, if you were selling 7 milligram nicotine patches, would you want people cutting them into little pieces instead of having a 7 milligram patch every day? Would you like them spreading that one patch out to 7 days worth of a patch? No, you would want them buying the 7 milligram, 14, 21, and using the whole dose every single day. So please just cut them. They work. It's amazing.
Is there a particular place where you want to place the patch?
Yeah, people ask me this all the time, where do you put it? Well, your skin absorbs, every part of your body absorbs anything that touches it everywhere on your body. So I could put it on my forehead, your body will absorb it. I could put it on your arm. Everybody likes to put things on their arms. Typically, that's where they see it. I've never put a nicotine patch on my arm. Reason being is my arms are always moving, always shirts on, and I don't want it rubbing it off. And our body makes oils over time during the day, so I don't want it to become loose. I put it on my ribs. So I just put one on my rib cage. I'm wearing it right now. I do it every single day. I just switch them every single day. They only last 24 hours. It is not still good. 30 hours later, every 24 hours, replace it with another one. So anyway, for those wondering how to start nicotine, Chapter 13 in my book outlines which brands I use, which scenarios, how you should use it to start with, and each week afterwards, how to go up incrementally, how to do that, just so you know.
Of all the things that you've been reading lately, the things that you've been experimenting with, what would you say is one natural remedy that has probably one of the greatest potentials for healing, but is being completely ignored by most people?
Oh, this is a big one, actually. I really appreciate it. Can I do a second one, too? Like, what natural antidote has miraculous?
No, that's perfect.
And then what natural thing we're being told is really good is bad for you? I'd like to give you that one, too. All right, so number one. I didn't know this. I found it amazing. There are millions of Americans right now who have been told a great lie that in order to prevent heart disease, heart attacks, and strokes, they need to lower their cholesterol. And the number one thing they prescribe 24/7 and make billions of dollars off of every year are statin drugs. Okay, now listen to me, people. If you're out there and your blood work is flagging high total cholesterol, low HDL cholesterol, which is your good cholesterol, and high LDL cholesterol called bad cholesterol, or high triglycerides, and you are either on a statin drug or being told you need to be on a statin drug or are debating this is important, and should I worry about it? I have been shocked to learn very recently in the last few months that there is a resin, a gum substance from a tree found in the Middle East and in India. And it's called the Commiphora muckle tree. It's a little bitty bush tree. And its resin or gum is called Guggul, Guggul. I have been shocked to review research studies. I already have this substance in my acne product because it's so proven good with acne. I already have it in my heart product called CardioFlow to help lower blood pressure and reduce blood clotting. I already knew those effects. It's the first ingredient in both those products. It's been in there for years. But I have been shocked to read research studies, Fab, where medical doctors and researchers are studying head-to-head groups of people, thousands of people with high cholesterol levels, bad cholesterol levels. And they put them on statin drugs, half of them, and then put the other half on Guggul. Every single research study, total cholesterol goes lower and better with Guggul than statin drugs. HDL cholesterol, your good cholesterol, every statin drug person, it never improved at all. But Guggul, their HDL almost doubled every single time during 8 to 12 weeks of taking it. Then bad cholesterol called LDL in the statin group, that did go down. But in every single person that took Guggul, it went down even further every time. Triglycerides. Most people with statin drugs have no effect on their triglycerides whatsoever. Some will go down, some just stay high. Guggul, 100% of them all came back down to normal levels. I have been shocked that there are all these medical researchers out there confirming in research studies that there's this natural substance that handles all four of those cholesterol issues better than every statin drug, yet Guggul manufacturers and farmers are making billions of dollars like Pfizer and Lipitor. How is that possible? How do your medical doctors not recommend Guggul? I finally found an all-organic farm in the Middle East that produces organic Guggul resin. And I'm so excited the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be releasing Guggul resin extract, all organic. Cannot wait. It will be your answer to cholesterol. It's an answer for blood sugar. It's an answer for obesity and heart disease. So I'm very, very excited for that. So that's something I was just shocked by. I did not know it had that proven head-to-head benefit. I always love when nature outperforms drugs that are FDA approved and the plant is not. All right, the other thing is this. Was that cool to learn? I loved it.
I love it. Well, I can't wait to get it.
Amazing. Okay, so then next. There's a substance we've all been told is very bad for you and you should limit it consuming, and that is sugar, right? Reduce refined carbs. Americans eat too much sugar. The world's eating too much sugar, and that is very true. We eat way more sugar than we should. All right. So in favor of people being aware there's a MAHA movement out there, Make America Healthy Again, and there's this all natural thing, right? People are turning to beverages, cereals, snacks, sports drinks, hydration drinks that are now pushing a more natural substance called stevia as your natural sweetener of choice because it has no calories and it doesn't have the negative effects that sugar does. Everybody out there, I need y'all to pay attention to this because I am right now formulating and finalizing a hydration product I started 8 years ago. And I just finalized the formula. It's going to be coming out at end of October, early November. So excited about this product. This has been an 8-year mission of mine to get this thing completed. Very, very excited. Every manufacturer wanted to put stevia in there as the sweetener. And I was like, nope. They're like, but you want all natural. I was like, I do, but I don't want stevia in there. Do not put stevia in my product. And people are like, but why? Everybody else is, and it's cheaper because there's so much of it. No. You don't know something about stevia that I do. So as the natural world, the truther world is telling you to consume more natural products that's better for you than refined sugar or dextrose or corn syrup derived products, eat stevia. Did you know that in every culture around the world, the stevia plant is used as an abortifacient? And do you know what that word even means? An abortifacient is a substance that induces an abortion. So if a person gets pregnant in the jungles of Africa or South America, an unwanted pregnancy or a rape, they will tell the person to eat stevia leaves to induce an abortion. How many young people out there want to have kids or want to have a family and are struggling to have kids? 1 in 6 American couples can't get pregnant. 1 in 2 Canadian couples now can't get pregnant. Every country in the whole world now has lower fertility rates in 2025 compared to 2024. So fertility rates are going down. Did you know that stevia is called a progesterone receptor antagonist? That is the medical term. That is, stevia is a progesterone receptor antagonist. And you don't even need to know what that means. But if you type into Google right now, what type of drugs, FDA approved, made by drug companies, are known as progesterone receptor antagonist. Do you know what drugs those are, Fab?
What?
It's the morning after pill. So if you've had sex, believe you might have gotten pregnant, and you go to your pharmacy to get the morning after pill, the brand name is Ella 1. If you take that pill, it is a progesterone receptor antagonist. And those drugs are only published on drugs.com and on that package insert to induce an emergency abortion, to create a miscarriage, or to prevent pregnancy. And stevia is a published progesterone receptor antagonist. So anybody out there who is thinking, oh, I'm making a better choice, sweetening my products with these little packets of Truvia, stevia in my tea or in my product. No. Not if you want a family. Not if you want balanced hormones. It is a published endocrine disrupting chemical. Means it creates imbalances in hormones. And did you know, as a progesterone receptor antagonist, consuming stevia makes you fat, and they know it makes people fat. So all you out there thinking you're making a better choice, just make sure you look on your label. Is this product sweetened with stevia? Is the sweetener stevia or Reb A or Reb M, R-E-B, and an initial, Reb A through M, is stevia. So make sure you're not consuming that if you yourself are struggling to have a family, struggling with multiple miscarriages. You need to get off stevia. In fact, I've talked to fertility specialists around the country of the highest success rates, and I asked them, what are some of the things you tell everybody? It's really interesting. Every single one of them say, I tell them all to take bee pollen and get on bee pollen immediately. Take that every single day. And then 2, I make sure they avoid stevia for the entire pregnancy. And I was like, wait, what? Hold up. I got to go look that up. Oh my God. I had no idea. Stevia, the plant, is known as an abortifacient and an abortion inducer. So if those of you out there suffering from miscarriages or making better choices, you think food-wise, sports drinks.
So what would be a good substitute to a stevia that people can look and should look for as a replacement to sugar?
That's a great follow-up question. Dr. Fab, you're a fabulous interviewer. Dr. Fab is a fabulous interviewer. You can follow logical next thoughts. This is great. I love it. So this is very engaging. All right. So the only sweetener I will put in my products, which I've been researching for years, and it plays really well right now on a very hot trend. This actual substance also comes from plants, but I prefer and use allulose. D-allulose. And then we'll also use monk fruit to heighten the taste of certain natural flavors. And those are completely safe. And you know what allulose is also published to do in the human body? This is what's amazing, I think. I'm very excited for my drink products to come out that will just be sweetened with allulose. And all natural organic adult multivitamin gummy I'm coming out with is also sweetened with allulose. So allulose, if those of you that don't know, allulose, unlike stevia, is a GLP-1 hormone stimulator. So when you swallow it, the L cells in your intestines and blood vessels release your GLP-1 hormone, which helps you burn fat, lower blood sugar, reverse obesity and diabetes. So for me, the GLP-1 aspect is very exciting. It's no calories, no carbs, which is awesome. And it also comes from a plant, but it doesn't induce abortions or make it hard for you to have children. So allulose, monk fruit are the ones I prefer the most.
Well, there's a lot of obesity concerns, especially as the weight gain of Americans and all over the world, actually. But especially here in the United States, the obesity rates are skyrocketing. It's become also a big concern for our children, as we have seen rates like we've never seen before. Is there any one thing out there that you feel that, other than change of lifestyle, because we know that that will make a big difference, is there anything that people should be aware that could actually improve the opportunity of somebody to reduce their weight in a holistic, natural way that is safer than some of the other things that they're experimenting with out there?
Absolutely. So number one, other than lifestyle, I mean, you need to realize what you've been doing your whole life, whatever your lifestyle is. I don't care if it's your activities, if it's what you take whenever you're sick. I don't care if it's what you eat in every meal. Your lifestyle is what's causing you to be obese. So I know we want to ignore that, but I'm just going to tell you.
No, I don't want to ignore it, but I know that is the what most people are talking about is change your lifestyle, change your lifestyle.
Around that. All right, so number one thing, if anybody out there have ever watched the Disney show WALL-E, if any of you have little kids, grandkids, and you ever showed them WALL-E, if you want to wonder why Americans are like land whales, the majority of you are obese, you look just like the people in WALL-E. And how did they get there? They all have automated chairs that take them around like robots. They don't have to walk even. So I just need you guys to understand that movement is by far the one thing Americans don't do enough of. So I think movement is number one. You need to be moving every day. You need to be outside every day for at least a few minutes. You need to be in the sunlight. You need to be getting the red light therapy in the early morning or in the late dusk. I don't care if you're not a morning person. Be outside at sunset where you can get the red light therapy from nature. And then you need to be grounding. This should be a basic part of your life. You should be putting your bare feet, your legs, your hands, something on the earth. You don't need to be a tree hugger. You need to be outside on the earth. Why? The earth actually pumps energy into you called electrons. The term is grounding, but truly too many of us have rubber shoes. We're in houses on concrete, and you're not getting the benefit of the earth's energy there to heal you. So don't avoid the sun, move your booty, and then go ground. This should be a no-brainer for you. All right, so there's 5 things now I want to talk about that I think are the most problematic for obesity. These are the 5 things most nutritionists and herbalists I've studied for years all agree on, but will place in different orders of what they believe are the issue. They'll always say these 5 things are the biggest problem. So if any of you hear these and go, oh, I do that all the time and I'm overweight, maybe I should just quit one of them. Okay, good. All right, number 1 is French fries, you'll always hear. Number 2 is donuts. Number 3 is pizza. Number 4 is sugar, like ice cream, candies, cakes, And then number 5 is sodas. All right, so I will tell you what I believe is the number 1 cause of obesity in all Americans. Number 1. I believe the number 1 cause for obesity in America is preferring to drink anything other than water. I truly believe that the kidneys of all Americans, and if you don't realize there's a problem here, how many dialysis clinics do you have to see? How many cruise ships that have dialysis clinics on them do you have to see before there's an awareness, common sense, something's wrong here? Why are all people on the planet having a hard time urinating out the toxins or their excess water out of their body? Your kidneys are being poisoned by artificial sweeteners, colors, sugars that are just pumped full of everything you're drinking. But the human body and all animals on Earth are designed to only drink water. I mean, I use common sense all the time to people. I'll go like this: look, if I can't get you to stop drinking your Dr. Pepper and you're in here complaining you want to reverse your diabetes, and after months of seeing your food journal, you're not getting away from the Dr. Pepper every meal, let me just explain something to you. Every time you open up a Dr. Pepper bottle or a can, you have to put the exact same amount into your dog or cat bowl. That's the rule. And every patient would look at me and go like this: Dr. Ardis, how could you say that? That will kill my dog. And I'd go, oh my goodness, what did you just say? Dr. Pepper will kill. Oh, I got it. Yeah, okay. Most people have no idea that what they're doing to themselves, they actually care more about their animals, their children, than they do themselves. And I truly believe if you stop drinking so much alcohol, stop drinking so much Gatorade, sports drinks loaded with 40 grams of sugar is my problem. If you get away from your sodas and just go back to clean, distilled, filtered water, oh my God, your life will transform if you just 80% of the time make sure you're only drinking water. It's what every cell of the body needs, what your kidneys need. And I believe that would pay the most dividends worldwide for people who are trying to reverse their health, improve their health, and become leaner. I mean, that's number one. And then number two, I learned this from Dr. Joseph Mercola years ago. While at Parker, remember you had him come there for a presentation? And he has this health cookbook he gave everybody. I made sure I read it. And I remember this quiz in the beginning of it and learning, oh, this is amazing. 85% of all humans in America are protein metabolizers, but you all behave like you're carbohydrate metabolizers. Meaning, I'll just make this easier for you. When you eat protein, you burn more fat, you stay more energetic, you stay more lean, and your immune system's healthier, and you have less chronic diseases. 85% of you are designed to only eat protein, more than anything else. But you're supposed to have fats and carbs, but it should be more protein than anything else. But he says this all the time, but the majority of Americans behave like they're carbohydrate metabolizers, and there's only like 7 to 10% of all Americans are carbohydrate metabolizers and get away with it. Most people eat pastries, donuts, Starbucks, sugar. All sugar is a carb. They're just eating carbs all day, pastas, breads, cakes, donuts, and you are behaving like you're a carbohydrate metabolizer, but most human beings are not. You are protein metabolizers behaving like you're a carbohydrate metabolizer. So reduce your overall carbs, introduce more proteins and fats, and watch your life transform.
You know, it's funny because you go to a grocery store and you'll see that 1/5 of the store may be protein driven, but the rest is not. But you mentioned the water, and one of the questions that I get quite often is now with all the discussion of microplastics in the water, toxicity in the water, with some of the latest studies that have come up with our waters contain over 200 toxics in it. Is there a practical way of introducing water into the household that you recommend, that you've seen again and again? I know you mentioned the word distill, but what would you suggest to your patients as to what is the best way to make sure that we and our children are drinking the best water possible?
Yeah, this is great. I've had kids in universities even in the last 2 years. One of my sons just graduated this week, actually last month, which is exciting. But I made sure they had a water distiller in their dorms and their apartments. The water they were drinking was going to be distilled. Okay, so this is a great question, but all of you out there, for a great, easy reference, write it down. Go to ewg.org/tapwater, another / and hit enter. ewg.org/tapwater / hit enter. And then you're going to see this little thing pull up and it'll say, put in your zip code. Put in your zip code and hit enter. And it's going to show you all the 200 or more chemicals that are known to cause cancer, obesity, hair loss, you name it, everything. You're going to see this whole list, and they're going to tell you the parts per milliliter that's in your city last time it was tested. And you should just start doing your own research on all the crap in your water you're showering, bathing, and feeding yourself with and drinking with. All right, that's the resource. Go see what's in your area. When I saw what was in my area, I put a water softener and filter system in my garage that is actually meets the meter out front of my house that you've been to, Fab. No city water enters my yard. It goes through a filtering system in my garage before it even goes to my sprinklers, into my kitchen, into my bathroom. Then in the house, in the kitchen, I have an RO system, a reverse osmosis system, under my kitchen sink. It's already been filtered once. It's going to get filtered again in the sink where we're washing our vegetables and our fruits and all that before we're going to eat it in our salads. Then on my counters, okay, this is not a joke, I take that RO water every day. Once it becomes routine, it becomes very easy. I take that RO water and I go put it in a gravity filter in my laundry room, and it just filters all night, just filtering one more stage. Then I put it into a distiller overnight, and then I have gallons of water, distilled water. Now, most of you out there, please don't think this is what all of you have to do. If you just distilled your water, it will be plenty. If you're worried about microplastic, graphene oxide, venom in your water, poisons in your water, go look up ewg.org/tapwater/ look at all the crap in your water that you didn't even know was there, that you thought was clean. Okay, go look at that stuff and then try to get it out. The easiest way to get it all out, or the majority of out, is just to distill it. Okay. Distilling, I know you guys think it's moonshine. No, that's not what I'm saying. I had to learn what distilling was too. All right. Distilling is nothing more than evaporated water collection. Okay. So every bit of the earth's fresh water comes from distilling it. Your freshwater lakes, your freshwater springs, your freshwater rivers comes from rain. Rain is distilled water. So all of us look for fresh water. We can't drink the salt water in all the lakes and seas. You got to go find fresh water that doesn't have that much salt in there because you'll die and dry out. All right. So fresh water is distilled water. Do you know that in every vegetable and fruit, watermelon you cut open, all the water that's in your plants is distilled water? All of life lives off of distilled water. So this is what distilled means. You take the water, you boil it. As it steams, it's then collected into a tube, and only the steamed water condensates and drips into a pitcher. Guess what can't be vaporized to collect at the top and fall into another beaker or pitcher? Plastic is not doing that. Fluoride is not doing that. Those things are not doing that. It's just the water vapors that are being collected as vapor and condensating and then falling into a pitcher. It's perfectly clean water. It's exactly what happens on the earth. The sun warms the oceans, warms the lakes, and the water vaporizes and goes up into the sky and turns into clouds as it condensates. When it gets to be too heavy, it falls back to the earth like rain. The whole cycle of water on earth is distilled water. And anything you read, anybody tells you that distilled water is bad for you, all of life lives on distilled water. Everything. So that is a blanket lie. The only people that are telling you that are the people that want to sell you inorganic mineral added waters like Smart Water, Aquafina, Dasani, Nestle. They all add inorganic magnesium, potassium, chloride to the water for taste. No, they want you to not drink distilled water. They want you to drink their water that they have flavored with not healthy minerals and not organic minerals. They're all inorganic. That lead to more arthritis and other things. So distillers, a countertop distiller can cost you $200, $300. And that's all the water you need to drink every day for one person, or they have bigger ones. So distill your water, I believe, is the best effort for at least all the water you are drinking. Even if you can't afford to put a system on your home, put a shower head filter that removes chlorine and fluoride and other chemicals. They have those. They're all over Amazon. Go buy them. Switch out your shower heads and reduce the amount of chemicals your skin's exposed to. If you cannot afford a system on your house like I have, it's okay. I know we're all at different levels financially. It doesn't matter. You can still do better. And there's all these things that work to reduce the toxic burden on you and your loved ones. But for drinking, I always recommend distilled water to be your primary drinking water, personally.
You know, it's funny because we do distill the water too, and it makes all the difference in the world. So for those of you, well, first of all, I want to say thank you for taking time from your busy schedule to be with us. You're giving us so much value. For those of you that are watching, this is one of the best books. And I called them after I read it. I said, this is one of the best books because of not only the awareness that it gives you, but the practical application of you can find pretty much everything you need right here. So use it as a guide. It's not just for information. It's actually for implementing it into your life and your family's health. But I'm also going to be putting the website for the Dr. Ardis show, because I do want you to keep this conversation going. If there was anything here that inspired you, you definitely want to go to the show and listen to it constantly. He has some of the most amazing guests, but also just like you can tell right now, there is no lack of information here. He can go on and on and on. And that's because he lives this message and he's an avid researcher. But also I want to let you know that you need to look into the products that he has put together. It's amazing how I've been in this space for 38 years and I've seen so many companies out there that put together products, but he is relentless when it comes to producing and giving you some of the best ingredients that I have seen in the marketplace. And that's why I was so excited when you talked about the Google, because that is one of the things that I've always had high cholesterol, but when I do my Bioscan, when I do everything, there is no sign of anything in my bloodstream, but my cholesterol still says high. And I've been looking for something that I can do to reduce that in a natural way, and I haven't been able to find it. And so I'm really looking forward to starting that. The nicotine patch, I think that's a must. And if you want to know the different types and all that is right here. But also, I'm going to put the link here so you can go directly and be able to see for yourself the different options that you may be available to have right now. But the most important thing, I want you to read this because I know that it says COVID-19, but I want you to know this pretty much pertains to just about everything you and your family are going through right now when it comes to your health. And that's one of the things that I really liked it. I know that we're talking a lot about the side effects and the long COVID and what is it that people are struggling. Our statistics in chronic disease are skyrocketing. I think Bobby Kennedy recently mentioned 76% plus, and the number keeps rising. Every single month, every single week, it seems like it's going up and up. Guess what? That's you. That's your family. That's your parents. That's your children. That's your grandchildren. Do something about it. Learn about it. There are answers out there. You may not be able to find them from your traditional health provider. We already talked about today about potential myths that you're being sold every single day. Just be aware. You know, for me, Dr. Ardis, when I went to my chiropractor, he said, in this office, we're going to remind you every day that your body is a self-healing organism. Never heard that with any professor in pre-med or even high school or anything. And then the last thing he said is, in our office, we're not going to spend hardly any time in your symptoms, but we're going to spend all of our time looking for the root cause of your problems. And those two things changed my whole life. After 6 months and interviewing 62 chiropractors, I decided to go to chiropractic school instead of medical school. And it changed my whole life. It changed my trajectory. And it made me the person that I am today. And this weekend, I spent the weekend with my kids. And I tell you, the greatest blessing in my life is the fact that I've been able to pass on to them a lifestyle from the moment they were born because of the knowledge that I gained through this process, where now they will be able to have much healthier lives that I did at their age. But more importantly, imagine what they will pass on to their children, because I do believe that at the end of the day, the greatest legacy that we can leave in the world is the health of our family and our children and grandchildren. And it all starts with us. If we don't change right now the way we've been raised, if we continue to do what our parents did and grandparents did, we can pretty much guarantee that we will be that statistic. But if we can actually listen to some of these things, question them, look at the science. One of the things you'll find about Dr. Ardis is that everything he says, he can back up with science. That is rare in this space. And one of the reasons I wanted to share him with you is because I'm a big fan, because he has the science to back up everything he says. But you need to actually be willing to listen and, more importantly, to try it. Just experiment with it, right? What does it hurt to just put a nicotine patch? Now, remember, I'm not actually cutting it. I want you to be honest. I started with a 7 patch, and I've been doing the 7 patch since I started 2 weeks ago after we met. And all of a sudden now I'm going to cut it, because I do feel if that's a better way to actually space it out and all of that. But these are the little things that I think people are really hungry with. Hungry for. But that's what you're going to get from the Ardis show. I mean, he talks about this in every show. He gives you input, insight, and you can just listen and see what you want to apply this week, you know. Any last minute words, anything you want to leave us with to make us really understand that there's so much more of a great health potential out there that we've been sold all these years?
Just number one, I just want to tell you I'm grateful for the opportunity to spend time with you now. And thank you for being there with Jim Parker and learning the principles of chiropractic, helping to head up that school so it was still there after he passed away. And I had a place to go challenge my own internal health and belief systems around the body's ability to heal. It's really an honor to watch individuals who have been inspired by others or their own healing journeys to go further to make sure other people have hope in those. So I applaud you for all you've done ever since you and I last saw each other 20-something years ago when I first graduated. And it has been an honor to spend time with you today. And I just want everybody to know here that Dr. Fab and I expect in the future we will be comrades in arms and all over the place, helping people navigate the waters of deceit around the belief systems of the human body's potential to heal and recover from emotional, physical, spiritual calamities. There's answers to those. And God is that great. The human body is that great. And the innate intelligence of the human body is that incredible and humblingly miraculous. So I look forward to that. Dr. Fab, you invited me to come to an event in Miami. It just happens to be the exact same weekend and the exact same 3 days.
Why don't you tell us about your event coming up? Because honestly, if I didn't have my event, I would be at your event.
And we were already
primarily for a lot of the people that I serve. But tell us about your event that is coming up in Dallas, because I think this is one thing that everybody that's listening right now should register for, because your life will be changed. It will be transformational for you.
It will be transformed if you attend. So one of the things, first is the spark of just wanting to go make sure people were protected during COVID with the hospital protocol lies, which is why I was a voice and had to go testify everywhere and present everywhere. It was just my self-motivation and God-inspired action that I believe he guided all of it. The next thing came 3 years ago, and I kept getting this impression that I was responsible for hosting my own health conference. And I was like, oh my God, Fab, you and I have been to multiple conferences all over the world. It's much easier to go to conferences than to organize them. And I'm like, I do not want to do that. I'm already at several conferences every weekend around the country. I don't want to do that. But I kept getting this impression. And then I saw the name go flash across my brain one morning, and it was, no, you're going to create a conference, and it's going to be called Healing for the Ages. So that conference, I decided, I was like, look, I don't want to do this by myself. And then the next impression was, no, you're going to actually go find a few more people to join you who have the exact same mindset and beliefs you do. And if you want to know what God told me, it was, no, you're going to go help gather people, put them on stages to remind my children, I've already given you the answers to your health. It's found in nature and inside of you. So go find those people. Immediately, I knew who they were. I mean, it was like coming at me. I was like, okay, fine, God, I'll do it. Go find them so you can remind people through this platform, Healing for the Ages, that he's already given you the answers to healing. And then he has infused, for those of you who are Protestants, believe in the Bible, read the New Testament, you know that every child of God, it's said in the New Testament, has been given to some specific gifts. To some, it's gifts of prophecy, gifts of discernment, gifts of healing is one of them. Well, they're out there. Fab's one of those. I know I'm one of those. And there's 3 other people I knew I'd come across, and I was like, I'm going to call them. And that is Dr. Ed Group, Dr. Jana Schmidt, and Dr. Henry Ely. After I called them within 5 minutes to tell them what I was prompted with, they all in unison said yes, all in the same phone call. Yes, 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 yes. I was like, okay, great. You want to be a part of this annual conference? Great. And then I hung up the phone, and my next realization was this. We have Ardis, we got Group, we got Ely and Schmidt. Oh my God, that spells ages. And I was shown Healing for the Ages. I was like, so let's just make the ages an acronym for our last names. So that's what you'll see at healingfortheages.com, October 23rd, 24th, and 25th. The entire theme is Make Yourself Healthy Again. It will be me presenting, Dr. Group, Ely Schmidt, on ways to heal yourself and know what to use to consider to heal yourself or be tested for, to start understanding what's the root cause of your suffering, and then how to rescue yourself. It's a 3-day event. On the first day, we've invited 6 special guests. Dr. Sherry Tempany is going to be there to present. Farmer Joel is going to be teaching how to nourish the soil so you know how to better grow vegetables as God designed them to draw minerals and create vitamins from the combination thereof. He's incredible. I've spoken at his place in Virginia. It's amazing. Farmer Joel will be there. And then we're going to have a gastroenterologist, medical doctor, Dr. Sabine Hazen is going to be there from California to talk about bifidobacteria and its role in the gut and brain and body. So she'll be there. And then we're going to have Leah Wilson to talk about local actions in your area legislatively to protect your family and your loved ones from losing your freedoms, even to medical tyranny. And then we're going to have Justin Franson, as a doctor of naturopathic medicine, is going to be talking about the effects of EMFs and radiation in our lives. The theme is Make Yourself Healthy Again. It's very popular, this MAHA movement, Make America Healthy Again, but I don't trust any government is going to make me healthy again. So the government does not feed you. It doesn't give you your water. It doesn't bathe you. Only you can make yourself healthy again. So we are here to present to you what we have done with our own families, our own children, to keep them well. And for everyone out there who's older than 60, approaching 60, I need to say this to you. It's very important you hear this. He asked me, what do I believe people need to do in order to stay healthy? You have got to stop self-inflicting, injecting poisons voluntarily into your body every year per your medical doctor's recommendation. 60 years old and older, there is a reason why they tell you when you turn 60, you need to get your flu shot, shingles shot, now COVID shot every year. No, you don't. And your pneumonia shot no, you don't. There is a reason why the majority of chronic illnesses in senior citizens in America, look them all up. This is not a coincidence. You look up fibromyalgia, lupus, gout, arthritis, heart disease, strokes, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. They all have the same age, which is the average age of an American to be diagnosed. And the age is always 65, 100% of them. There's a reason. Since you turned 60, they have been pumping poisons into you over and over and over every year. And by the age of 65, you will see the degeneration. You will be diagnosed with that chronic illness. And if you want to avoid it, stop letting them poison you. And if you think for a second I'm saying something odd to you, because remember, vaccines are safe and effective in your brain, I need you to do something for me. Even if you're like, maybe I'll do it. I don't know if I can say no to him. Okay, if you can't say no to them, you don't just blindly trust me and Fab. That's okay. I want you to do something else. When they tell you it's time for your pneumonia, shingles shot, your flu shot, and your COVID shot every year, starting at age 60, old people, I'm talking to you. Okay, older people, I'm talking to you. People approaching that age, I'm talking only to you. When they say to you, it is time for you to get this, and I recommend you get this to stay healthy, I need you to say this to them. Thank you, doctor, for telling me it's time for my annual whatever shot. And then this is the next statement. So first, thank them. The next statement is this. Can you please name 3 of the ingredients in any of those vaccines you just recommended off the top of your head that will benefit my life? And watch what happens. Now, You're afraid to say no. So don't say no, just say great. Can you just tell me name 3 ingredients of any of those vaccines off the top of your head and how it benefits my life? Listen to me, not a single American medical doctor will be able to tell you any of the ingredients and the things they're going to shame you and guilt you into taking. They don't know a single ingredient in any of them. If they do, they would not recommend them to you. So just put them on the hot seat and go, thank you very much for telling me. You're doing your job. That's great. Thank you for trying to protect my life and my immunity. Just name 3 ingredients of any of those vaccines, please, and how they benefit my life. If they have to look them up, or if they say, I don't know, just say, thank you, I don't want to do it. If you don't know what's in it, I don't want to take it. Just please question or just say, thank you, no thank you. Remember what Nancy Reagan said. Just say no to drugs. That wasn't just illegal drugs. It's even pharmaceutical drugs that are prescription. Just say no to drugs. None of them are natural anyway. And you are a natural being. God put Adam and Eve in the garden, and guess what he said on day 6? Everything else I put in the garden was for the benefit of man. Do you know what wasn't in the garden? Pfizer, Moderna, Merck, CVS, Walgreens, vaccines, Johnson & Johnson. They weren't there. Man created that. God made the proclamation. Everything I put on the earth and made in the earth and in the universe was for the benefit of man. That included plants, animals, water, sunlight, moonlight, darkness, and light. He gave you everything you needed. And that's all we've talked about here in this presentation. Go back and put your faith in God. I have more trust and faith in God than I do in man-made chemicals and drugs and vaccines. And that is, I had to be deprogrammed and deprogram myself at the behest of my own family, parents, siblings. They did not agree with me my whole life. They shamed me for not vaccinating my kids, and I would look at them and go like this. Can you name any of the vaccine ingredients? No, they couldn't. But they just shamed me for not doing it. I'd go, well, if you went and looked at it, you wouldn't have done it to us either. So just so y'all know, there is no pro-vaxxer versus anti-vaxxer narrative in the world today. That does not exist. There isn't those who prefer vaccines versus those that don't. There's only 2 classes of Americans when it comes to vaccines. You are either pro-vaxxer, you're either vaccinated, or you are educated. Anti-vaxxers are the educated group. Anyone who educates themselves on what's in any of the vaccines will say no to all of them. Those who don't educate themselves on vaccines blindly follow the narrative, blindly trust the professionals recommending them. You need to educate yourself. Knowledge is power. You've heard that your whole life. Ignorance is not always bliss, and ignorance means to educate oneself. If you are ignorant, you are uneducated in a topic, you need to go gather knowledge. And that will help you with all your future conversations, even with a health professional who stands as an authority figure in front of you one day.
Well, and I think it's important that you mentioned that, because one of the things that you have been helping a lot of people understand is to get over this guilt feeling, because I believe over 80% of Americans got vaccinated. And the problem is that now they're, in retrospect, they're seeing all this new information out there that is really alarming and almost completely opposite to what they were told. And they're looking for, wow, I put this in myself, I put it in my parents, I put it in my children, but what can I do now? And you do have a lot of great detoxifiers that can help bring some of these chemicals out of your system, because at the end of the day, your body has the ability to do that, given the proper support. And that's really important. And I don't know if you want to say something about that, because that comes up all the time. How many people call me or text me or email me or message me, you know, just the guilt. Like, man, I can't believe I fell for that. But guess what? Almost the whole world did. So you're not alone in this, but it doesn't mean you have to be a victim of that. Do something about it.
One of the hardest things I think for human beings, I've realized just studying human behavior over my short 28 years of adulthood. I'm only 48 years old, but I've loved studying human behavior. I think truly, after everything I've read, studied at the seat and at the foot of mentors and intelligent people around the world that live in this space, I believe the scariest thing and the most hesitating thing for human beings in all of life, the hardest thing for a human, is to ever allow themselves to become aware that they were wrong about something. And it's even harder and scarier to speak it out loud that they were wrong. And the truth is, there's nothing scary about being wrong. There's no gun being pointed at your head. Go ahead, say you were wrong. Boom. No, there's no threat.
Learning.
There is no physical threat to your life. There's only a threat to your ego. And so I think the hardest thing is to ever admit that you were wrong. I was wrong about my perceptions that only healing can come from a man in the Mormon church. I was wrong that drugs, vaccine, and surgery are the only way to healing. And I had to use common sense and then rely on my past history to evaluate that and self-reflect and go, oh my God, the bones healed all by themselves. How did my immune system know not to make bones somewhere else? How did it know to go do it at the break? This is the intelligence part. How did it know to go gather calcium from other parts of my body and put it in this broken, empty space, and then it looked like the bone was always there? How did it know to do that? I broke it. Okay, the body is amazing. So just remember, the human body is amazing. Ignorance is not always bliss. Please continue to research and study. I am blown away every day by the things that I learn. Did you all know? I had no idea. You wanted to just go study stuff? I had no idea. You're hearing about peptides, GLP-1. You hear about all kinds of stuff. You hear about these GLP-1 drugs, these new things like Ozempic and Wegovy, and I'm like, man, I've never heard of those. Let me go look it up. I couldn't believe what I figured out when I looked them up. I could not believe there's no GLP-1 anything inside Ozempic and Wegovy. But that's all the commercials say. I could not believe it. There's no GLP-1 in any Ozempic or Wegovy, so I need to go look up, well, what is it? Then I find out the only thing in it is a protein, a little bitty piece of protein called Exendin-4, Exendin-4. And I was like, what in the world is that? Copy and paste into Google. What is that? Holy crap. That's a neurotoxic venom from the Gila monster lizard in the southwest deserts of the United States. All of you out there that know somebody on Ozempic and Wegovy, I'd like to ask you, do you believe your friend or yourself is fat, overweight, and diabetic, can't manage his blood sugar, or has heart disease because you're deficient in a lizard's venom? No. There is a huge industry I knew nothing about. There are venoms being produced for the pharmaceutical industry, the drug industry, the vaccine industry for decades. There's venoms in our cosmetics galore. Go look it up. It's amazing. Venoms cause disease and cancer, people, and death. So when you introduce it on your skin, in your mouth, you're going to develop it. Did you know, Fab, that lisinopril, the most common high blood pressure drug in America, is made from the venom of a viper in Brazil called the Jaracus viper? It's just dried snake venom in a pill that's known to cause cancer in every human. Okay, did you know that? Did your medical doctor tell you that? How come they didn't call it viper venom on the bottle when you went to the pharmacy to pick it up? Why did they call it that? Why did they call it lisinopril? They don't want you to know what they're poisoning you with. I later also found out that Monsanto, that makes glyphosate, for example, is the largest patent owner by numbers of patents for genetically modified seeds for our crops, where they put venom from scorpions, spiders, snakes, bees, and wasps in the seeds so that when the plant grows, every part of the plant has that deadly toxic venom in there. And do you know what they say in all the studies? The reason why we grow all your crops this way for the last 30 years is we want venom-laced crops, leaves, stalks, fruit, because when pests eat venom, they die. So we could, instead of spraying pesticides, we could just make the plant have its own deadly toxin in there. And when the grasshoppers, locusts eat it, they die. Okay, Fab, everybody listening, do you hear what might be the problem for you? They make those plants grow those crops to kill insects that eat them. Well, who is the last thing that's supposed to be eating the crop that plant produces? You. All right. Well, venom, when you swallow it, is not broken down by your stomach acid. It goes right into your bloodstream, just like lisinopril, the pill 22 million Americans swallowed this morning. And everybody out there who's getting angry right now, just know, when Bristol Myers Squibb introduced that in 1981, they told you this is viper venom from a snake called the Jaracus viper in Brazil. In 1955, it was discovered that any venom swallowed by a mammal causes rapid forming cancer tumors to form. And that guy won the Nobel Prize in Medicine, Fab, in 1986 for figuring out that venom introduced into the human will cause rapid forming cancers. 5 years before that Nobel Prize, it's introduced in lisinopril. Now it's in Ozempic and Wegovy, and many of your heart drugs, many of your pain drugs are derived and made from venoms around the world, and no human being was made to benefit health-wise from venom. You've been hardwired by God that when you see a venomous creature, scorpion, snake, even from a toddler, you know to run. You've been hardwired to avoid venom, yet science and man has tried to figure out how to get you to convinced that chemotherapy from mustard gas is good for you and healthy for you to help you beat cancer. I mean, everything's a poison, but it's good for you. Go read the New York Times article. Snake venom. Deadly snake venom, it reads in 2022. Deadly snake venom can cure all ails. What? Okay, listen to the statement. Deadly snake venom can cure all ails. I mean, what is it? What does that mean? That to cure all people of their suffering, you have to kill them? With a dead... I mean, once you're dead, you're definitely not suffering. This is ridiculous. Okay, that's the orthodox medicine model for you. Anyway. I did not know there was such an industry that makes trillions of dollars a year in making drugs, vaccines, cosmetics, and our food supply from venom. I had no idea. What a world.
Well, it's something you're going to find here, so make sure you pick it up. And I'm going to put the links over here so you can follow Dr. Ardis. Make sure that you check out the store. You're going to find some amazing solutions that you probably didn't even know that he had put together for you already. And also make sure that you reach out. Because a lot of times, you know, we have questions and he has an incredible team that is ready to support in whatever you need. But you'll find that all his websites are very well structured to give you the answers that you're looking for. So God bless you, man. Thank you so much for the time. I know we went a lot longer than we anticipated, but I knew this is the longest that I've ever done. But I know we can go all day long. And I just want to say thank you, man. I appreciate you. And I can't wait to see you again.
God bless you, Dr. Fab, and all of you at home. I hope you have a blessed day, blessed evening, wherever you are in the world.
Thank you.
Welcome to Ending Chronic Disease, where we challenge everything you thought you knew about health. Join international best-selling author and wellness pioneer, Dr. Fabrizio Mancini, as he reveals how to transform your body, your mind, and your life starting today.